You are listening to the Loida Lewis Podcast, hosted by Loida Nicholas Lewis. She's a trailblazing businesswoman, leader, philanthropist, and the widow of Reginald F. Lewis, the visionary leader who was the first African American to build $1 billion company. With unparalleled determination, Loida Lewis has not only excelled as a successful attorney, but also shaped a $1 billion empire. Following the untimely passing of her husband, Reginald F. Lewis, she took the helm of TLC Beatrice, carving her legacy as a successful business leader. Be inspired and learn from her as she shares her wisdom, the secrets to her success in both business, in love, and in life. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn. With your host, Miss Loida Lewis.
Welcome to the Loida Lewis Podcast, and I have the honor of presenting to you the first Filipino American Chief Judge of the Municipal Court in Metropolitan Atlanta, Georgia, Chief Judge Bryan Ramos. Thank you.
Thank you, Tita Loida. It's such a pleasure being here.
Yes, I'm so glad you are here in New York because there is a conference. Can you just say something about it?
Now, I'm the president of the National Filipino American Lawyers Association, and we had our mid-year conference here in Manhattan Friday, Saturday, and it finished up yesterday.
All right. Yeah. So for those who are watching, there is a national Filipino American Lawyers Association.
That's
so
right.
We have reached the age where we're an association of lawyers admitted in the United States.
That's correct.
So can you tell us about your, first, were you born here or were you born in the Philippines?
I was born in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. I was born in Project 4, Quezon City. And we immigrated when I was 18 months old from Manila to Cleveland, Ohio. My mom was a doctor and got recruited to be a doctor at the Cleveland Clinic. And then about 6 years after, once she established her residency, Mom and Dad were like, it's cold here. So they moved down to Florida, land of Disney and the beaches and everything else, a little more temperate climate. And
more like the Philippines.
Very much like the Philippines. Not a lot of Filipinos there, though, but it was very much the climate was like the Philippines. So we moved to Tallahassee, Florida, and I went to school in Quincy, Florida, which is about 20 minutes west of Tallahassee. And I grew up there. I went to Florida State University, and I worked 2 years in the state government, and then I decided to go to law school. And then I went to Mercer University for my law degree, and then like most folks, I followed a girl up to Atlanta, and I never left.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, okay, I hope. What happened to that relationship?
Tita. 3 days later, we break up. But that was good.
It was not meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be. At that point in time, I was, I turned out all my jobs in Florida, and I didn't want to be in Atlanta. When I was in Atlanta, when I was in Georgia, really, at that point in time, in the late 1900s, 1999, 2000, every time I heard of Atlanta, they were filming cops from Atlanta. All I heard was the traffic and everything. I didn't want to be there, but I followed love, I thought. So I turned out all my jobs in Florida, and I took a job in Atlanta. 3 days later, we break up, and I realized God must want me to be here for a reason. So I decided, well, God, I'm here, and I decided just to stay here. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Okay. And are you saying that that's where you started to say, I'm going to law school?
No, ma'am. I went to law school at Mercer University, which is about an hour south of Atlanta. And then I took a job in Atlanta because I wanted to follow my girlfriend at the time. And then we break up, and then I decided, well, I'm here.
Yes.
So God, do with me what you want.
Right.
I'm going to be here. I'm going to make it work here.
Yes. And how did you decide that you want to be a lawyer? Any in your family?
Well, not really, Tita. Like every good Filipino boy, I was supposed to be a doctor. Yeah.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah, I was English. Well, I started out with a biology and chemistry degree at Florida State University. Right.
On your way to becoming a doctor.
A doctor, yes. I was the youngest of 6 children. All my sisters were nurses, and I was supposed to be the doctor, the bunso.
And your mother is a doctor.
Mom's a doctor, yeah.
But how about your father?
My father would they met in school, but he never really finished. So he just supported my mom throughout the whole time.
Oh,
so,
good husband.
Yeah, he was a very good husband. But I was supposed to be a doctor. I was biology and chemistry until my junior year. And then I realized that it wasn't for me. Someone's going to die. Either going to be me or one of my patients if I finished.
Right.
So I decided to switch from biology and chemistry to English and philosophy.
All right. Yes.
Which really saddened my parents because they didn't know what that meant.
Yes.
They're like, "Oh my God, you're gonna
Yes.
you're gonna be a philosopher, and you're gonna walk around the school with a lantern and a toga, or you already speak English. Why are you taking English classes?
Yes, yes, that's
they didn't
true.
realize that it was going to be a pathway to law at that time.
And was there ever what triggered your idea? Maybe it should be law.
Well, really, the first thing is I actually represent my first clients were my parents. Actually,
Immigration.
no, my mom and dad had a house in Tallahassee, and I was there during college, and I happened to see a summons for a court. I'm like, Mom, Dad, what is this? Why do you have a court summons? And they're like, I don't know what that is. Look at it. Tell me what it is. I find out that the lawn man has sued all the immigrants in the neighborhood, to see if they can get a judgment against one of the neighbors and us as well. So
Because you have not been paying them?
no, they paid. It's easier just to go ahead and file something. He thought that they weren't going to respond, and then they would get a default judgment. And
my
then,
goodness.
Yeah, so it was a scam, essentially.
It's a scam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I tried to call the law person and said, "Listen, my parents have paid you. They've always paid you. I don't know what the situation is." And his response was, "I'll just see you in court." Yeah. So I said, Mom and Dad were going to court. So we went to court. I was a sophomore in college at the time. And my mom stood up, and it's a very fiery Panay. She gave the judge, like, I don't owe him anything, got very mad. And I was like, Mom, stop. You got to just control your temper. And then the judge ordered us to a mediation. And I spoke with a lawyer, and I went through all the payments and everything else. And he's like, it looks like you won your first case.
Oh.
And then they dismissed it. And then Mom took me to lunch, and that was the start of my law career.
That's terrific.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
you never know where life leads you.
Right.
Right? And so when you enjoy that.
I did. I enjoyed helping, and I figured that, Mom and Dad weren't alone in this situation, especially when there was other folks that had similar experiences. So after that, I think he dismissed all those other cases.
Yes. And you were the first.
I was the first
meaning
one.
you presented a good case.
Yeah, well, they all
And-
paid.
yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
immigrants,
Everybody.
they just want to do their work.
That's right.
They don't want to get in trouble. They just want to do their work. They want to pay. They want to live a better life. And, once somebody stood up to them, they
right.
backed down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. So that was your taste of that law works.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
present your case well.
Yeah, or
Yes.
just representing, just as being there and standing up for folks that he was trying to take advantage of everybody.
Yes,
So
yes.
they needed an advocate, and fortunately, I was that advocate.
Yes.
And it was really by mistake. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be home that weekend, and I just
Yes.
happened to go through the mail, and I saw this, and it looked very official, and of
Yes.
course, it scared me.
Yes, of course.
yeah.
It scares any law-abiding citizen
Of course.
to get something from court.
Yeah, and of course, I
Yes.
think a lot of the immigrants too, whenever it looks so
And
familiar,
immigrants, yes.
or so official, they don't even want to touch it. So they didn't even open it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So they get
Yeah.
into trouble.
Yes.
So
yeah.
how was it in law school?
Law school
Yeah.
it was tough, as you can pretty much imagine. I know you went to law school as well. It was hard. It was really the first realization that everyone there is smart. They're smart. They're argumentative. They're aggressive. They're competitive. But I met some really good friends. They're still my lifelong friends there. And then we all went through law school with the idea that we could help people. So it was tough, but I had a really good experience because of my friends. And I think the faculty was very good too.
Okay. So for those who are listening, nothing is easy.
Nothing
Okay,
is
you
easy.
studied, you burned the midnight oil, as they say.
I burned all the oil. Yeah, midnight, daytime,
Yes,
midday, all of it.
So I studying
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And, did you take any relaxation, or you just in books?
Well, I got to see my parents, also. So I went to Tallahassee a lot because it was only 4 hours away from Mercer. And then like I said, my girlfriend was in Atlanta. So where my law school was a very small town called Macon, Georgia. It's very, very small. So there's really nothing to do there besides study. So we studied, and then Friday we left.
Right. Okay. So I know that in some law schools and even business schools, you have a group you study together. Did that happen?
Yes. My study group are still my best friends.
Okay.
Actually, we still go out and we see each other once or twice a year, and we still keep in touch.
All right. So for those going to college, that's one of the most important connections you will have. Your friends, the people you go to school with.
That's correct.
Yes, and birds of the same feather flock together. So he's a very studious. So I'm sure all your friends were also very studious, studying hard.
They studied very hard. See, I always think that I always surround myself with people smarter than me. That's why I'm here. All
right. Again, for those who are listening, surround yourself with people who are smarter, same values, and then better than you, or equal, but always. Stay away from toxic people.
That's correct.
Right?
That's
people
correct.
who are always negative, who's
right.
always criticizing everybody else. Okay, so you have a successful lawyer here, Chief Judge.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Tita. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my dad always said, if you find yourself to be the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's a good one. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yes, there are always people better than you.
Yeah.
Not that you're comparing yourself, but that's a good antenna. Okay, that you are with people who are the same values and people who have, things that you can learn from.
Right. And that's why with NFALA, they're all so smart, they're all so talented, and they're from all over the nation. So our New York lawyers are so great here, and they're so hospitable. And of course, all the California lawyers are all there as well. So coming from Atlanta, it's such a blessing to have all these lawyers together from coast to coast and Hawaii as well. So,
all right, connections. Okay, the NFALA, National Filipino American Lawyers Association. Okay, you have it from Judge Ramos.
Yeah. I'm also the president. Huh? I'm the current president.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For all of those who are willing, where can I find a lawyer? Here he is. Right. And give your. Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's NFALA.com, NFALA.com.
.com.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For those looking for a lawyer, go to his website. He is the president of the entire National Filipino Lawyers Association in the United States.
That's correct.
All right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but your study group, though, that you were talking about, they're still my good friends. And they studied really hard. And, they're still, the folks that I rely upon whenever I have, an ethical issue or a life issue or anything like that, because you really form really good bonds in law school.
Yes, very good. So again, lessons, your law school, your college, your friends in college are going to be lifelong friends if you chose right.
That's right.
Now, what happened after your graduation?
After law school?
Yes,
after law school, I was fortunate enough to clerk for some judges. So,
judges, immediately.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the best.
So I was a law clerk in Houston County, which is about 30 minutes south of Macon. So I was the law clerk for 3 judges, Superior Court judges, and I was their law clerk while I was studying for the bar. When I passed the bar, I left and I went to a big law firm in Atlanta.
Yes. Okay, you do not become a clerk with a judge unless you're very, very good. So how was your standing in law school?
I was definitely in the top third, so I was not, the top folks at all. It was just too difficult for me.
But you had good grades they won't take you as a law clerk if
I did
you're
okay.
not.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So, but again, we were very competitive, and the judges, did ask for my transcripts. So I suppose it was enough to get hired.
Okay. Yeah. Can you just give tips to those who are listening? What are just three habits that you have that made you successful? You were in law clerk and then big law firm and then, later on how you became chief judge. But we'll talk about that later.
Sure.
So just give 3 habits you had as a student.
As a student.
A student aspiring for better things after
sure.
graduation.
Well, as a student, I just took it very seriously. I was paying for law school. Law school is not cheap.
So you earned the money?
Well, we took student loans.
You took loans.
Student loans to go to law school. My mom and dad were very kind to put me through my undergraduate work, but the graduate work was on your own.
Yes,
on your own. So I took loans. So I was paying for that. So I was going to be a consumer student. So I didn't want to waste my money. As good immigrants don't waste money. So I wanted to get as much as I could. So I took it very seriously. So I took it as a job.
Studying hard.
Yeah.
Okay, serious study.
Yeah.
No parties at night.
There's a few.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Meaning to say, for the weekends, but
Yeah.
Monday to Thursday, you studied.
I took it as a job. Yeah, so it was my job to finish law school and
At the right time.
At the right
3
time.
years.
3 years. 3 years. And also too, if you didn't do that, they'll kick you out of law school too. So if you fail or you reach a level that's not acceptable to the school, they'll ask you to leave. So there's a lot of fear there as well. So I took it very seriously, and I knew that it was my vocation, and of course I wanted to make my parents proud. So that was one thing. That was a tenet that I did. So that I live by.
Very Filipino. You work hard because you want your parents to be proud of you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And with that too, I found my motivation. My motivation was to serve people. So not only did I find what I was going to do, but I found my why, right? So
Okay, that's again, please. All right. Very, very important. The lessons you're learning from here. The why. Why are you doing what you do? Not to put yourself up, but to serve people, to serve others.
That's correct.
It's a very, 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 what do you call is that? It's a great inspiration or a motivation to work, to do good.
yeah, finding your purpose, right? So that gets you up at the morning, so you're not going to hit the snooze button. You know what you're going to do. And you do it, and that's your calling. I always say that, law is my profession, but service is my calling.
Ooh, I love that. Law is his profession, but service is his calling. It's almost a vacation.
That's correct.
Oh, that's so good.
correct.
That's so good.
Yeah, and then the last thing is really I find joy in as much as I can, because you just can't work all the time. You have to find connections. You have to find the joy. You have to have those soft skills that everyone was talking about. And life is all about your connections and the fun parts, and you have to enjoy yourself.
You have to find joy.
Yeah.
Right? You have to find joy. This is so good.
Yeah, thank you.
That's so good for our listeners.
Yeah.
All right, very
Those
good.
are the three I would think come to mind up front.
Okay,
Yeah.
of being successful
Yes,
as a
yes.
student, as in your profession. Okay,
Yes.
can you repeat it again so that they'll remember?
So you want to take it seriously, your vocation seriously. You want to find your purpose, your why. Then you got to find your joy.
Okay. All right, you got it. The 3 secrets of success of the chief judge, Judge Ramos. Okay, very good. So now, in private practice, what was your experience there? What are the things that you learned in private practice?
I was very fortunate after my law clerk days that I worked for a large law firm in Atlanta, Georgia. So we did.
What does a large law firm mean in
Well,
Atlanta?
to me, it was over 100 lawyers.
Wow.
Right? So when I clerked, I had 100 lawyers in my county. So when I had 100 lawyers in my building, it was pretty large. Now, there's some other firms that have thousands of lawyers, but to me, large is over 100. Yeah, for me. So I was able to work with that litigation firm, and they taught me a lot. They taught me how to try a case, how to prepare a case, how to act in front of clients, how to bill my hours, all of those skills. And it also taught me a work ethic as well.
Litigation means you go to court, you fight for something for your client.
Yeah.
Now, there are so many aspects of law, corporate law, immigration law. How is it? So because of your, what was your decision that you will do litigation and not others? Tax is another one.
Well, I always wanted to be in the courtroom. When you look at the movies, Filipinos love movies. They're always doing the courtroom scenes. The Matlocks, all the great movies.
L.A. law,
L.A. law,
television.
yeah, definitely.
Yes,
They're all the courtroom scenes. The drama, right? So I always thought it'd be a good idea to go into litigation, you know. But honestly, after my law clerking days, you know, I told you I had a lot of loans. So I took really the highest paying job. I wish I had a better story to say it was, you know, my morality that brought me here, but I was...
Now you have to be practical.
Yeah.
You have to pay down that loan.
I did. Yeah, that's right. So but I also wanted to be an entrepreneur as well. I always wanted to have my own law firm. So I thought if I was there for 5 or 6 years, get 10,000 hours of good experience, then I might be able to start my own firm.
10,000 hours.
That's
Believe
right.
that. Okay.
That's right.
Yes.
So after 5 years, I left and started my own law firm.
And what was that your, Bryan Ramos law firm?
It's the Ramos law firm.
Oh, the Ramos law firm. Okay.
Yeah, my dad
Very
always said, you either work for your own dream or you work for someone else's, right? So I wanted to work for my own dream.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Your father has trained you well. Yes,
thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
But 5 years in your pocket, you knew or you learned.
Again, I was also a student there too, a
Yes.
student of the business of law at that point in time. So I learned the law firms, not their secrets, but the way they did things.
Right.
So
What do you call it now? Billing, because very important.
The billing.
The billing. How do you do that
right, the billing,
systematically?
the marketing, the level of expertise, how you write your letters, all of those things, how you present yourself in court, all of those were all tuned at the law firm.
Okay.
Right?
So again, studying, learning, because he had another goal in mind, which is his own law firm.
That's correct.
Great.
That's
So
correct.
how did you manage to get clients first of all?
Oh, Tita, it was tough. Well, at first, I left the law firm with 0 clients. No one came to me because who would? So
It's zero funds, meaning to say, were you able to pay your loan?
yeah,
Almost.
Well, before I left, I saved up I saved up 6 months of expenses. So
To fund your entrepreneur,
To fund everything.
your first business.
So-
To fund your own law firm.
correct. So if I didn't make any money, I wasn't going to be homeless. I wasn't going to be hungry. I wasn't going to be in debtor's prison or anything like that. I wasn't going to get sued. So I knew exactly how much I spent, and I put that much money away. So when I started my firm, I knew that I had 6 months to make it, or to earn some money, right? So I did that. But before I left also, I networked with about 30 attorneys that were on the other side of me. So we were litigation.
Private
practice. So they were my opponents. And I told them in secret, I said, I'm thinking about leaving my firm, working on the defense side. If I ever leave, I'd really appreciate you referring me some overflow cases, anything that you can't handle, please give me a shot, So I did that for about 30 attorneys, over the last year or so. And I thought maybe, 1 or 2 would give me a case when I started my firm. Lo and behold, everyone gave me 2 cases. So on day 3,
You already had.
I had 60 cases.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you, for those listening, he prepared the way. Okay, he knew he's going to have his own law firm. He needs clients, so he already talked. And you need their soft skills, meaning to say they like you, even if you're on opposite side. You're respectful, you have good manners.
Professional.
You are professional, yes. And just good people skills. So when he asked all of these 30 lawyers, they gave him 2 at once, overflow. What does that
Yeah.
mean? In a law firm, if you're a big law firm or a small law firm, you have cases that you don't want to take. And so he got it. 60 cases
Yeah.
within 6 months.
That's right. Actually, within 3 days.
Within 3 days.
Yeah, within
Very
3
good.
days. But Tita, they weren't great cases.
I know. That's why that's why they turn it over to you.
A lot of them were not very good cases. A lot of them were problematic, and I took their headaches. That's fine. But they kept on sending me
Yes,
cases.
yes.
So, and it was great. I really had some good mentorship through that as well, and we were off and running. But what's really great is I wanted to do the other side. So I was doing defense work at the big law firm. And then I started doing the individual work, representing the workers, not the big insurance company. But my client at the old law firm really liked me, and they're like, "Well, Bryan, I know that we have a relationship with your old firm, but can we start sending you cases?" And I'm like, "No, you can't.
No.
Because these are my mentors.
Yes,
They're going to hate me.
Yes, that's true.
So after
for taking away a major client of theirs.
Right, right.
So integrity, okay, there's something to be said very much for integrity.
Yeah.
He didn't want to cross the hand that fed them in a way. All right.
Yeah, that taught me.
That's very
right?
good and taught you.
So
Okay.
for the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I was like, you can't send me any cases. You can't send me any cases. And finally, the general counsel, the lead attorney, called me and said, Bryan, we're going to send them to somebody else, not that firm. So if you want to have this business, you better make up your mind. I said, I already made up my mind. I don't want the business, but we really want to send it to you. So what I did is, with hat in hand, I went to my mentors at the old firm and said, listen, this company is looking to send me cases. Would you mind if I took, some of the overflow? And they're like, well, Bryan, we're here. We have over 100 lawyers. We've had this client for 30 years. Why would this company give you any cases? They're just trying to be polite.
They're just going to be
trying to be polite to you.
Oh,
They're just
really?
like, yeah. So the senior partner patted me on the head and said, thank you, but we were not worried. So
yes. So so again, proper manners. He knew that this is a client of the old law firm, right? And to get client from money from the big law firm that you worked for didn't sit right with you. So he asked permission and said, and so when they said it's okay, there you go.
They didn't think it was going to happen, right? Because why would it? I mean, I'm 5 years out of law school. I'm a solo practitioner. They have over 100 lawyers with 30 years of experience. What do I have to offer?
Yes, yes. No. All I'm saying is that your own sense of integrity.
Yes.
Didn't say, oh, wow, I'm beginning, I need their money. You went through the process of asking them, telling them first, is it okay? And then they said, of course.
Yeah.
So you're off and running. Integrity, guys, okay? Integrity, your sense of what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah. So they started me sending cases the next month. So first they sent me 2 1 week, then 4, then 6, then 8, then 12, then 32. I mean, it just went crazy.
You're off and
that.
running.
Yeah.
You need more lawyers.
Yeah, I did. I hired 5 lawyers during that time. Yeah, and a whole bunch of paralegals as well. Yeah, so that company was a little company out of Detroit, Michigan. You may have heard of them. It's called General Motors.
Oh, wow. You hooked the big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happens, it was very difficult, because of transition. I wasn't built for that. I mean, the big law firms, they had the paralegals, they had the billing department. It was very difficult, But easy come, easy go. This was back in 2000. Well, it wasn't really that easy, but this happened like in 2006, 7, 8. And then if you remember what happened during 6, 7, 8.
Yes, the financial crisis.
Right.
The Wall Street, the stocks went down 40%.
Yeah. And, one of the largest bankruptcies in American history was from General Motors.
Yes, that's right. Was that in the process of they were almost going under?
They're always going
General
under.
Motors.
Yeah,
yes,
General Motors and
Right.
and Chrysler.
And Chrysler.
Right. Ford
yes.
was the only one that not go through.
Right,
Because they
right.
secured financing before.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the time when they were going bankrupt and President Obama funded them. So they didn't go under.
The American Rescue Act.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
so
yeah.
they refinanced, they did all the other stuff, and then they actually got a federal loan, and then they paid back the loan with interest.
Yes, that's right.
And that's why you
Yes,
still
it
have
was
GM
successful.
cases. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
so-
So when that happened, so that also disappeared from
All
your
disappeared.
income.
Yeah. So think
Wow.
about that. I had 90% of my practice
Yes.
gone.
God,
in
oh
1
my
week.
God. Wow, what did you do?
I panicked. I did, but again, I was very good with saving, and I knew that I had to readjust, and I had to.
You have
use
to
some of
lay
my savings.
off. You have to lay off.
I laid off quite a bit.
lawyers.
Yeah, I laid off.
And paralegals.
I did. So we shrunk down quite a bit, but everyone was doing that.
Yes,
You
yes.
understood.
You have to be realistic.
Yeah, it's a business.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did all of that, but that was 2008, 9, right? Now we're still in business. It's 2025. So
Yes,
we
very
just had to
good.
pivot,
Yes.
and it was a little bit of lean, but we worked it out, and everything.
But you had savings.
I did.
All right, so important. Those listening, okay, don't spend all your money, especially overspend. Meaning to say your income is 1,000, you spend 1,300. Doesn't make sense.
Yes.
All right. Very
and during
good.
that time too, Tito, we're first generation. I'm a straight up immigrant, right? So we didn't really know how to use banks either. So when all the financial crisis happened, I was so scared. I didn't even have a lot of money in the banks. I really had money in my freezer.
Oh my God! Wow, really?
Yeah, because
wow.
I was so scared. I didn't know.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
all I knew from my parents was you work, you save money, you work. Then you spend it on your kids and that kind of stuff, right? But I was afraid to use it and put it in the bank. So that's how ignorant I was with my finances. So it wasn't until 2009, 2010, I just started educating myself on how money works, right? And fortunately, I was able to buy stocks in 2010.
Yes.
And
before they went crazy.
And then it went crazy. Yeah. So that was, again, one of my best financial decisions was investing at that point in time. And I really wish some folks would teach us, the immigrants, on how to, structure money.
Financial literacy.
Yeah. Right,
Yes.
Right. And lawyers
How to manage money.
Correct. Yeah. And lawyers, unless you're in that financial law, we're taught law. We're not taught business.
That's right.
It was a hard lesson for me to learn.
Yes. Well, for everyone out there, you have to learn it, and you learned it through your own
Fear.
Yes, and you studied.
I did.
And you asked questions.
I did. I got a financial advisor.
Advisor.
We spent a lot of time together, and I slowly put the money that was in the freezer, in the stock market, and it worked out well.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, lots of lessons here. Now, my question is, you had a good law practice. How did you want to become in court to be a judge?
Well, Tita, throughout law school, I interned for some judges. After law school, I clerked for some judges. I think every lawyer would like to be a judge at some point in time.
Yes. Because for the rest of your life, you'll be addressed as judge.
Yes. And I get to wear a black robe. I look good in black. It's very helpful. It's very slimming. Well, I was doing some work with the Brookhaven Charter Commission. So every 10 years, the city of Brookhaven, where I am, reviews their charter, and they see if it still makes sense to the constituency, the citizens of that city. So the mayor appointed me to be a part of that charter commission. After we did the initial evaluation, gave our recommendations to the city council, the mayor was like, "Do you want to continue to work and help the city?" And like I said earlier, service is a pillar of mine. And I said, "Of course, I'll be more than happy to help." So I figured he would appoint me to the arts commission. He'd appoint me to the zoning commission or something. But no, he appointed me as a judge. Yeah. So,
Immediately as a chief judge.
as the chief judge.
Oh my God. Okay, so you see, because all of his life has been straight, paid with integrity, hard work, and service, he immediately got chief judge.
That's right.
Now, does that mean that you have to remove yourself from practice?
No, I have one. It's really more part time, but I do more of a criminal court, and my practice is civil. So there's really not a lot of conflict.
There's no conflict.
No,
Right.
No.
Okay.
But in my court, I have 4 judges all together, and I do a lot of the administrative work, court policy, court programs, and I'm the face of the court. So if anything bad happens, that's me.
Okay. So for those who are, Chief Justice, have you seen Judge Judy? Is that one? Is it more or less like that?
Well, she does more magistrate court, more the people's court.
People's
right?
court,
right?
yes.
So I do municipal court. So I do city court. So
Explain, what does that mean?
so I guess if we're looking at TV shows, for some, there's a show called Night Court. It's traffic court. That's that same level of court. There's also another judge, I think in Rhode Island, Judge Caprio, and it's that same type of work. So I do a lot of misdemeanor crimes work. I do traffic court, and
What is that, traffic?
traffic court, misdemeanor crimes, and code violations.
code violations,
So
meaning
building codes in the city. Yeah.
okay.
So those types of things.
All right.
Yeah.
Very
So
good.
they're all bench trials. So it's before just a judge. There's no juries.
So it's your decision.
That's my decision.
Yes,
Yeah, it's my courtroom. Yeah.
Yes. Can you just give an example where you had to really study the case because it's almost like Solomonic? Do you do this or should you decide here or there? Can you just give an example?
Well,
for
Tina,
instance?
the hardest thing for me is putting people in jail. Especially when they have like shoplifting cases. Because it's misdemeanor crimes. It's petty theft, right? And a lot of these people are just poor. They're poor. They are hungry. And they steal cookies and they steal drinks and that kind of stuff from one of the stores and stuff like that. And a lot of times the prosecutor asks for jail time. And that kind of stuff when they're just hungry. So those are
It's almost like the movie, what do you call it now? Les Mis, where he was imprisoned for stealing bread because his children were hungry.
Very much, yeah. Yeah, it's not as theatrical, but it feels that way, definitely. So those are the hardest things for me to decide on. Yeah, so we do a lot of like community service work. We do a lot of other things, knowing a lot of times these are borderline homeless people. So a lot of them can't do this stuff. But what can you do? So I'm not going to send someone to jail, if you're hungry. So to my prosecutor's dismay, a lot of times. Now, if this is their 6th or 7th time, then we usually do some sort of diversion. There'll be a service that I could send them to, but for the most part, I really have a hard time with that. But sometimes jail is the right place, because they need the help. They need, some mental health counseling. They need the food. They need the shelter. So those are the things where you have to really know the system so that you can, make the right decision or the best one you can anyway.
Very good. How about house violations, meaning
Code
something
violations.
Yes.
Those are little goofy cases. Like a lot of times it's like, they didn't cut their grass, and these are, I call them for the most part, they're kind of rich people problems, so because they didn't, because there's code violations and Brookhaven is a very nice community.
Would you say it's middle class, upper middle class?
I would say it's upper middle class, at the least. It's very nice, and they want to beautify. They want to make sure it's a good community. And sometimes people don't, cut their lawn, or they do things. They cut down someone's tree and that kind of thing. So those types of things are always kind of like, you have to work it out, I don't want to have to try a case about whether or not your grass was too high. You're grown, good. You know what you did, do something about it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Chief Judge Ramos is very wise, almost Solomonic. So first from JP. Have there been moments when your personal values were tested on the bench? And how did you navigate them?
Personal values.
You gave a little example.
Yeah, of course. I mean, definitely the shoplifting cases. One thing that's really hard for me, in Georgia, the undocumented folks, can't get driver's licenses, right? They cannot get a driver's license.
A driver's
license, but they have to go to work. They have to support their family and that kind of thing. It's very difficult. And sometimes they get arrested for driving without a license.
Without a license,
And then I ask them, why don't you have a license? And they're like, well, I just really can't. And I know what they mean,
Yes.
And, I try to work with them and see exactly what I can do. But in Georgia, there's a mandatory 2 days in jail.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 days in jail. So if I put somebody in jail, well, a lot of if you have children, then the child services will come, because who's going to take care of the children? You're going to lose your job and all that stuff. So, I have a duty to adhere to the law and interpret the law and obey the law. A lot of times it's very difficult for me to put
Send them to jail.
Yeah, send them to jail. So a lot of times I can suspend the sentence. I'll do that. Especially if it's their first offense and that kind of thing. So there's some discretion about that, but it's difficult when you are sworn to uphold the law, and it doesn't make any sense, when there's 19 or 22 other states that allow permits to drive to work,
That's true. But above the law is the law of mercy.
Yes.
And the law of compassion. So very Solomonic. Very good.
Well, we try. Yeah.
Yes, very good, very good. From Gina K. Have you had a chance to mentor young Filipino or minority students interested in law? And what advice do you give them?
Interested in law? No, but I do have a lot of mentees. I do. Again, it's just the life of service, and that's another reason why I'm a part of NFALA, is because I'd like for folks to know that you can be, in the practice for many years and still be happy, still lead people. So I do a lot of mentoring. In fact, last year for the Georgia Asian Pacific Islander Bar Association, I got the mentorship award.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Han Choi award that the Georgia Asian Bar gives to one of their attorneys that's made differences in young attorneys' lives. So my mentorship really is from young attorneys, not so much folks wanting to get into law, but really how to survive the law.
Yes, to do good.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's excellent. See, you see, it was coming because he was doing such good service. He got the Georgia
It's a Han Choi mentorship award.
mentorship award.
Yeah.
All right, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, my dad. Another one of the things that my dad always said is the level of your contribution is going to be commensurate with your income. So
Again, did you repeat? Did you hear that? Okay, the level of your
contribution will be commensurate with your income.
Okay, please remember that. Remember that. Very good. Okay, this is from Sev A. If you had a chance to speak to a room full of young films dreaming of leadership roles, what would your message be?
You can do it. I mean, that's the only reason why. Well, one of the reasons why I do what I do is so that folks can see themselves in my role. One thing, again, I'm going to go back to NFALA. The reason why NFALA exists is to remind Filipinos that, the legislature, the bench, the C-suite is all at your reach if you want it.
Okay, very good for everyone. For Seve, there you got it. Okay, you can do it. When you're not in court, how do you unwind or spend your free time? That's from Lina C.
Yeah, Lina, I do a lot of traveling. In fact, I have a trip going to Sicily in September. I've spent a couple of weeks in Japan. I go to the Philippines. I like to travel. I like to immerse myself in other cultures and get to know other people.
Mm-hmm. And can I just ask, not in the question, but since you broke up with your girlfriend, what happened to your love life?
I found a better one. We've been together now for over 20 years.
20 years,
yeah,
okay.
So,
yes.
And she's also a lawyer, too. So
yes.
Our arguments are very intense. There's court reporters involved. There's witnesses. It's very intense.
Very good, very good. Okay, I'm glad that you found somebody else.
Definitely.
Okay. And this is from Lara G. What values or life lessons did your parents or grandparents instill in you that shaped your view of justice? He has said a few of them, but,
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why we came to America is because you got a fair shot. It was all, if you do the work, you're promised to get the prize, right?
If you do the work, you will get the prize.
Right. So it's that type of mentality that's really kept me going. That I'm a firm believer that if you do the work in the land of opportunity, you will be successful.
But, we are not white. We are, well, at least you grew up. You're practically American because at 6 months old,
yes.
You grew up here. You're American.
I'm very American.
So did you not, and Georgia is the South.
Very much.
So have you not experienced any discrimination or bigotry?
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
for example.
Well, I remember one time when I was, a young lawyer, I would go into a courtroom as a litigator, and one of the other attorneys would be like, I didn't order a translator. I was like, well, I'm not a translator, I'm the attorney. He goes, you're an attorney? That happened,
that kind of
quite a bit.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Most recently, I was having dinner with my probation officer and a police officer. And the police officer was wearing his uniform, and it was very, very official. And we're all eating there, and one older white lady, very nice white lady, thanked the uniformed police officer for his service, and just assumed that the other two, the probation officer and me, were also police officers, or at least in the police department. So she automatically assumed, oh, you must be a detective, and you must work in forensics. And I'll let you pick who was in forensics.
Forensic, you, the interpreter.
Yes, exactly right. So there's a lot of that there. But again, Atlanta is a great place. We always say that Atlanta is the city too busy to hate. It's the cradle of the American civil rights movement.
And that's true.
Martin Luther King. So it's a wonderful place to be. But if you're outside of Atlanta, hour and a half in any direction, you still get some of that.
Yes. Yes.
But like you said, I grew up in the South. I can speak Southern, and I can be just like one of the good old boys. Yeah.
All right. Very good. So you take it as a matter of course.
I do, and you know what it is. And if you are again kind and you're smart and you can handle yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Now again, lessons. Okay. You know your work. You're kind, and you're smart, but. Are there other times, it's not in the question, but my own thought, are there other times where you have to assert yourself?
Definitely. Definitely, yeah. Well, you have to, but you have to really know your boundaries too. If there's like 5 folks that are, calling you, racial slurs, you can't, how macho you are, you're not going to win that fight. You just got to know, right?
Yes.
And be
common sense.
Right.
Use your common sense,
right.
yeah.
So it's better to leave and fight another day.
Another day. Right. Very good.
So you just got to know your situation, and be smart, right? But yeah, it happens. I mean, and sometimes even in the law. I mean, some of the judges are, in my past experience, gave the, tipped the scales of justice in the other direction. I felt, but
even if you presented a good case.
Sometimes that happens, but it's an imperfect system, right? You just have to be as perfect as you can be.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And now this is from Carl. Oh, as you may already know that from following the news, some court rulings are being ignored by this current administration. In this political climate, and as a chief judge, how confident are you that the executive branch will not override the powers of the judicial branch? Oh, that's a
tough
political
one.
question.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And as a judge, I really can't comment on that. Besides that, we're firm believers of the rule of law, and that in this day and age, justice has to be blind, but judges have to be brave.
The judges have to be brave because for this area, you have to
respect the rule of law.
Respect the rule of law. All right, very good. All right. So, do you have any last advice to those who are listening?
Oh, Dita, just thank you so much for having me. And you're very kind in the sense that you're a pretty established lawyer as well. You were the first Pinay or first Asian American woman to pass the New York State Bar without even going to a United States law school. So when I think of people who you can be it if you see it, I definitely think of you, and I thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
All right.
I know this is your podcast. I know that you're the moderator.
Absolutely.
But since I have this opportunity, I'm not here too often, but I do have some questions for you. Yeah. Okay? So what leadership lessons did you learn from Reginald Lewis, and how did you adapt them to your own style?
Well, Reginald Lewis is by himself. But what I really learned from him is to keep going no matter what, because he's African American, and just like a person of color, it's more intense. The bigotry, the discrimination, the put downs, and outright, negative words.
Right.
But he didn't let that stop him from whatever it is he wants.
Especially in that day and age, too. That was in the
1970s.
The 70s.
Yes, that's right.
And then as you took over the business, and that probably was magnified because you were a person of color and you were a woman, how did you adapt to that?
Oh, I didn't even notice it. I just knew that his company was on the verge of bankruptcy. A strong leader died. That year, it rained in Spain, and we had 50% ice cream. There was, yes, and the worst recession in Europe, and everything of that. So I cannot failure was not an option.
Gotcha.
And so I just did what needed to be done. The CEOs we were interviewing were asking a lot of money, all white, not that I have anything against it. So I said, if they fail, I'll say, why did you do that? But if I'm taking it, if I do it myself, then I have nobody to blame but myself. So that's why I took it over.
Did you think that the foundation of law help you with all that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because as a lawyer, it didn't faze me, documents, words they say. We are lawyers. We know, what are fundamental law and things and everything. Not everything, but the law gives you a very good foundation in which to face the world and whatever it is.
Sure. Now, Tita, you're well known internationally as a philanthropist, as a person who is an activist as well. But you're really not well known, I think, as a lawyer. And why is that? Why haven't you really done more in the law, or just not have enough time to do that?
No, because I was an immigration lawyer with INS after winning a discrimination case. So you don't announce that. But when I took over, because I was a Filipina, a woman, and taking over $1 billion business, that took more the public relations part.
Yeah.
But it's not so much that I didn't want to be known as a lawyer. It's just that life happens.
Right. And you handle it. Right?
And I handle it.
Yeah, you were a lawyer for how many years?
10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
And
74 I was a lawyer. I practiced immigration law. And then 88, Mr. Lewis bought Beatrice, and we moved to Paris.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And did you ever want to return back to the law?
No, at that time, because immigration, it changes. And I'm not in immigration for 15 years.
Because we need some more immigration lawyers now.
Yes. But I wrote a book.
Yes.
When I finished 10 years of immigration law, I wrote a book, How to Get a Green Card. And it's still out.
Right.
Available on Amazon.com.
Of course. Yeah. Well, that's one of these the situations where I really wish more folks knew of your legal legacy.
No. It's now your turn. That's why I have this podcast.
Yeah.
So that people will know Filipino Americans can do.
Right.
Be good lawyers and be a chief judge.
Yeah, but we stand on your shoulders. So, but thank you again for everything you've done in the law as well as in philanthropy and for the Filipino American community.
Well, you can be the next podcast. Chief Judge.
Thank you so much.
Bryan Ramos.
Thank you, Tita.
Yes.
Right.
So this is the Loida Lewis Podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together. Thank you.
Tita.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Yes. Galing.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
The Loida Lewis Podcast, hosted by Loida Lewis, is produced by the creators of Over a Glass or Two, Jesse and JV. Executive produced by Laura Nicholas Olace. Rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for a chance to be featured on a future episode. Have a question for Miss Loida? Just email us on askloidalewis@gmail.com. Your question might make its way to a future episode. Subscribe on all major platforms to never miss a beat. Thank you for listening to the Loida Lewis Podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together